Hi students, today I'd like to go over the word choice practice exercises that you've been assigned this week. And as you begin writing your 100-word memoir, you're going to see just how important it is to have specific and powerful word choice. And by working through these practice exercises, you're going to be coming up with your own little toolbox, so to speak, of words that you can use, okay? What often happens is we get used to certain words, we're comfortable with particular words, and we tend to use them a lot. This exercise is going to get you to start thinking about other words and to expand your vocabulary, which is really going to help your writing. So let's take a look at this. Practice 4, using action verbs, using descriptive adjectives, and using specific words. All right. A verb is a word that describes an action. Some verbs are vague. They don't help you see the action clearly. Specific verbs have more action. They tell you exactly what is happening. This activity will help you think of verbs that show more action. And so they give you an example. A, above each underlined verb, write a verb that shows more action. The first one is done as an example. So in the first example we see here it says, Jeannie goes to the finish line and wins the race. Goes is underlined, and so we want to replace it, and this one's done for you. And we're going to replace it with sprints. Okay? Jeannie sprints to the finish line and wins the race. Can you see how that improves the sentence already? So go through and focus on changing those underlined words. And then for part B, it says, find the verbs in this story and underline the ones you think are vague. Over those verbs, write other verbs that show more action. So in this step, they're asking you to identify them. And your practice portion above, A here, will help you understand what those vague verbs look like, okay? So really in B, they're just asking you to go ahead now and expand on what you've already learned from the A portion. All right, in the next portion of this practice, we're going to be talking about adjectives. An adjective is a word that describes a noun. Nouns are words for things such as people, animals, places, ideas. Adjectives that are specific give information. They can make your writing come alive. This activity will help you think of interesting adjectives when you write. So for the A portion, it says, above each underlined adjective, write another adjective that gives more information. The first one is done as an example. And you can see here, the sentence says, the good fans cheered the winning team. So they're replacing good with loyal. And that's what you're going to do for that portion. Is just go through again and replace. And then once you're done with that portion, they're going to ask you now to do something similar, except they're telling you some resources that you can use. Okay? So it says some descriptive words are used so often or can have so many different meanings that they do not give exact descriptions. These words usually can be replaced with synonyms that are more exact. Use your own vocabulary, a thesaurus, or a dictionary to replace each underlined word with a more precise synonym. Okay? And again, I just want to remind you, as you're going through and working on this packet, what you're doing is you're building your own little toolbox of words for yourself that you can always look back and use until you start feeling more comfortable with an expanded vocabulary. All right, so let's move down to the next portion, and it says good sentences. Look at the following examples. How are they different from each other? How have the words in dark type been changed? So for number 1, it says, Louis works in a very modern factory. The building is new and modern, and it has all the most modern equipment. But we can tell right away that the word modern is being used too often, and it makes your sentence boring and it's just redundant. Okay, and then in the next example, it says, Louis works in a very modern factory. The building is new, and it has all the most up-to-date equipment. So up-to-date and modern mean the same thing. However, it adds variety to your sentence. And if you'll notice too, they took out the second modern here in this portion. It's redundant, it's not necessary, and in number 2, it makes the sentence more concise, and that's what we're looking for you to do. Down below here it says, sometimes you repeat individual words unnecessarily, especially when you are adding supporting details to the main idea. If your main idea is that the factory is modern, you want the details to tell you how that factory is modern. The trick is not to keep repeating the word modern. Sometimes you can take it out altogether. Sometimes you need to find a synonym as a substitute. And the directions here say rewrite each group of sentences to avoid repeating words. Remember that you can either take out a repeated word or find a synonym to use instead. There is more than one way to rewrite each of them, and this is going to be your personal writing style. When you go ahead and do these practice exercises down here, you're going to be tweaking it in a way that reflects your writing style. Okay, so have some fun with it. And this portion says practice choosing specific words. Directions. Some words in these drafts are vague. Underline those words, then revise the drafts. Cross out the vague words and write specific words above them. When you are finished, write a clean copy of each revised draft. Okay, so for part A it says, this draft is part of a letter. The writer is answering an ad for a job as a stock clerk in a hardware store. The ad appeared in a newspaper, the Daily Bulletin. Okay, so the first thing, again, what you're going to do is you're going to underline any words that you find that are vague. Okay? Then you're going to revise it. You're going to go back and you're going to write specific words above all of those vague words. And once you're done with that, you're going to just rewrite your own copy or type. Most people will be typing it. And so then you'll just do that. Okay? And again, this is really going to showcase your writing style. Okay? So you're going to be learning more about yourself as a writer. And that is all I have for you. Thanks for listening.